the government never committed that they have accepted the farmers' demands. They only agreed to set up a committee to examine various issues, including the issue of minimum support price, how to make it more effective. Now, the government took some 8, 9 months to form a committee, that too under the chairmanship of previous Secretary Agriculture, in whose time these laws were issued first in the form of ordinances, 3 ordinances, and later on they were enacted as laws by both houses of parliament, and the president gave his assent. So, as far as one of these laws is concerned, that is the Essential Commodities Amendment Act, the government has used Essential Commodities Act so many times since the promulgation of ordinance in June 2020. So I do not think that the government itself uh, would be very much serious about bringing forth another legislation on similar lines as far as the Essential Commodities Act is concerned. As far as contract farming law is concerned, I think the state governments are free to enact any laws which can facilitate contract farming. The Punjab and Haryana farmers saw contract farming as a means of taking away the ownership of their land. The government's argument was that the law has sufficient safeguards and the farmers should not fear that their land will be taken away. I would tend to agree with the government. I have written about it. I do not think that these laws would have, um, especially the one relating to contract farming, would be harmful to farmers' interests as far as the ownership of land is concerned. The most disputed law was about the marketing of agricultural produce, what is called the APMC bypass law. So, in that also, we have seen a number of events since the repeal of these laws by Parliament. See, the most important demand is to make MSP a legal right. At present, the minimum support price for 22-23 crops is declared by the government on the recommendations of Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices. Farmers want that no trading should take place below this price. And I think the government thinks that it is not a practical idea to implement such a decision across India. We have to remember that even today, most of the trading in agricultural commodities takes place outside the APMCs. Several states do not have APMCs at all. So there is no record of who is buying, who is selling, etc. And there is no way the government can enforce a minimum support price on every transaction taking place inside a mandi or outside the mandi. So I think this is the main point of dispute between the farmers' unions and the government. I think the farmers are basically demanding uh, a shield from fluctuation in prices. Now, what has been happening is that many a times the prices fluctuate so much and they fall to such a level that farming becomes very unprofitable. So, as we are talking today, the price of lasun, for example, has fallen to levels which are unprofitable for the farmers. So, this is the farmers' main demand. In case of apples, for example, the farmers in Himachal Pradesh have been agitating, and they have been saying that the corporates, which fix up the price of apples in Himachal Pradesh, because the corporates have set up a number of climate controlled cold storages. The farmers are saying, apple growers are saying that this price is very low. So basically, the farm laws wanted to take Indian farming in the direction of a direct connect between the corporates, other businesses, FPOs, large FPOs, exporters, and the farmers. So this connect is already there in case of Apple in Himachal Pradesh. So I think there is a need for deeper examination as to why the farmers in Himachal Pradesh are not satisfied with this arrangement where Corporates are there ready to buy, and farmers think that corporates are fixing a rather low price for apples, and that is why this agitation is going on. So, agriculture is a very complex subject. However, I can say that farming needs to be tailored to the agroecological conditions of various agroclimatic zones in India. And in order to achieve that, a system of incentives has to be provided which will deliver to farmers a fair and remunerative price. In fact, in the last few years, if you see the data, India has emerged as a uh, important exporter of agricultural commodities, from wheat to rice to sugar, uh, and a number of other commodities. We are able to export tea, coffee, etc. Uh, of course, it is true that WTO agreement on agriculture needs to be reimagined. I have written about it. There are several infirmities in the agreement on agriculture. The reference price, for example, for the crops we procure refers to 1986-88. Obviously, that is too low and it has no relationship with the current price of wheat and rice. So we won the peace clause in Bali, but that was a temporary arrangement. So I think there are efforts in WTO to reimagine the agreement on agriculture and make it fair to various countries. I do not think the farmers are opposed to it in any manner. What they want is that WTO, our commitment to WTO should not result in reduction of procurement of wheat and rice, or even pruning of procurement of wheat and rice. What some other countries have been saying about Indian exports, Australia, for example, Brazil, and some other countries, they have been saying that India has breached the limit of subsidy which can be provided to farmers for procurement of wheat and rice. Similarly, in case of sugar, they have been objecting to fair and remunerative price and the state advised price, which is announced for the sugarcane farmers. So these disputes are there between various countries, but I do not think that getting out of WTO is the solution. Actually, the government has been running in the Department of Agricultural Research, ICAR, a project called NICRA. The idea is to prepare, adapt seeds for various agroclimatic conditions like drought, like floods, etc. Some success has been achieved, but NICRA is underfunded. So I think there is a need to enhance the funding for NICRA so that sufficient resources are available for research. See, the solution for climate change will come from policies of the government and from research. The policies relate to uh, changing in the cropping pattern in certain areas, especially for reducing the cultivation of paddy and also reducing the cultivation of sugarcane in some areas. But it is not going to be easy. So, if there is one area where we really need cooperative federalism, it is the negotiation between the center and the states on climate change. How it is going to be addressed by India, uh, unless the center and the states come together, a solution cannot be found. People have been talking about organic farming for several years. There are some success stories, but I think the area under cultivation under organic farming is very small, just about 1% or so. It is at an experimental stage. The global studies on organic farming, there's a paper from Argentina that shows that the productivity goes down by about 25%. So, if we have to remain a food secure nation, um, we cannot be guided by sentiments alone, and there has to be a certainty that our production cannot be going down. Uh, Now, there is a larger experiment going on in Andhra Pradesh for promoting organic farming, natural farming. without using any chemical fertilizers or pesticides or insecticides, etc. So we are all awaiting a scientific evaluation of those uh, cultivation practices. I think it is early days. So the idea is good. Nobody can dispute that the government should not make any effort to reduce the consumption of fertilizers because we have to spend a lot of foreign exchange on P and K fertilizers. Urea, we are fortunately manufacturing a substantial quantity in India. But I think migration to large scale organic farming is some time away till the concept is proven and it is shown that it will not have an adverse impact on food security.